Hello?
7 days.
New phone. Who dis? I've already told you about my experience with the original Ring and my disdain for Ring 2. This sequel reboot was pushed back several times due to studio delays, but it's finally here. Does it measure up? This is Rings. Rachel and Aiden do not return, but this is who we do get. Julia, played by Matilda Lutz, and Holt, played by Alex Rowe, are a couple entering a long-distance relationship when Holt goes away to college. But when he starts skipping Skype date night, and he's not answering his calls, we worry it's another woman. And it kinda is. Julia tracks him down, and together they set out to solve the clues in the infamous tape. And they have the traditional 7 days to make sense of all this and beat Samara. First off, unlike Ring 2, this actually felt like a Ring movie. Even as a reboot, this preserved enough elements from the original to kinda sorta feel sequelish. Samara is shown mostly with archival footage of DeVay Chase from the first movie, and they even reused footage from those movies. It's as much a character as Samara. The tape is, for the most part, the exact one as well. We witness an evolution in the tape. It's no longer confined to an ancient VHS technology. It's now a QuickTime video people can email to each other. You know, if Samara just wanted a bigger audience, she could have just uploaded it to YouTube and waited. But if she has my numbers, she'd have to wait a long time. The story takes some new directions. There's a few gaps in the narrative that I mentally filled in myself, having watched the original so many times. If I was totally new at this, I probably would have been very lost at a few places. There are also some leaps in logic that the characters make that they shouldn't be able to, given the information they have. It's almost like they saw it in a movie once. It was interesting watching Samara's backstory unfold. At times, it's kind of heartbreaking. Some things were added, some things are expanded upon, and other things are just left unexplained. To me, this is more of a reboot than a sequel. If it were a sequel, it's chosen pretty much to ignore Ring 2, which is cool. And aside from a vague reference, Rings doesn't really acknowledge the first two movies anyway. But as a reboot, it's kind of unnecessary. This movie is a product of today's audiences. It takes elements from the first film and repurposes them in a more current setting. Before, you had to have a TV, VCR, the tape, and a phone. But these days, we carry all these things in our pocket. Ain't technology great? There's some slight spoilers here. If you don't want to be spoiled, skip to this time if you want to avoid this. Ready? Here we go. A college professor, played by Johnny Galecki, is running what I call a ring club. People are watching the tape, and they monitor each other, making sure they pass the curse on to someone else before Samara kills them. It's kind of like Amway meets Russian roulette. I just wanted to know how the professor figured out the curse and set up the club. I feel like that would have been a more interesting story. And our couple survives, or do they? That's for a sequel to decide. By the way, a huge element of the finale is spoiled in one of the trailers. It involves a mark that Julia gets on her hand. I avoided trailers for this reason. Speaking of trailers, there are shots in the trailer that aren't in the movie. I have to wonder, would I have liked it more if I didn't see the original? I almost feel like the original is supplemental material to help you follow this movie. Movies shouldn't have homework. At least it kept Samara as we remember her, and it didn't try to update her the way other movies did. Get off my screen. A reboot meant to appeal to a new, younger generation. Not as good as the original, way better than the second one. I'm giving Rings a 3 out of 5. It lacks the sense of dread the first one had, but it did have a few legit scares. There's a scene on an airplane that was a bit over the top. It also has a few cheap jump scares. I shouldn't be afraid of umbrellas. I hope you like this video and give a thumbs up. And subscribe. You know you want to. So this probably isn't the last time a franchise is going to get updated. What movie franchise should they leave alone? And which one do you think needs an update? Leave a comment below. This is theNewBee, and as always, thank you for watching.
There once was a girl. No one dare speak her name. In death, she seeks vengeance for a life filled with pain.